Good afternoon, all of you. Last time
Good afternoon, sir.
yeah, last time we started with Night Queen, written by Mahesh Dattani. In the beginning of the play, we are introduced to the protagonist called Raghu, and we also come to know about his feministic features. We are also introduced to the second character, Ash, who is a male person, and we don't know his full name because his full name is not disclosed by the playwright to us. The setting is a room, and there is a night queen, Rat Ki Rani, which is outside the window of the room. The room has two doors. One helps Raghu to enter into his room, and the other door takes him to his other rooms of the family. So as Ash comes, they both start interacting. And we also talked about that there is an old woman who never appears on the stage, keeps calling Raghu. And they both are interacting. Raghu and Ash, they both are interacting with each other. And the old woman once again calls out name of Gayatri. So this time it's not Raghu, but it's name of Gayatri, who is Raghu's sister. And then Raghu informs the voice, old woman's voice, that she is not here, and he also informs to the voice of old woman that he has a visitor. And before this, Ash has talked about his fantasies, and Raghu informs that snake being such a classic phallic symbol. And Raghu informs that only a gay man could have such a fantasy. So I'm sure of you now. So now Raghu is sure that Ash is a gay person because he has such kind of fantasies. And let's continue from page number 64, where we stopped last time. What do you mean? For a minute, I thought that you may be, one of those. One of those? Straight guys pretending to be gay so they can pick up someone, bash them up, and take all their money. So Raghu, Ash uh, is a bit annoyed because he says that, what do you mean? Because when he openly calls him that he is gay. And then Raghu changes his stand and states that, oh, I thought you may be, one of those. And then Ash once again says, one of those. And then Raghu informs that straight guys pretending to be gay so they can pick up someone, bash them up, and take all their money. So, Raghu might have experienced this in the past, that some straight guys, they catch hold of people, those who are gay, and these straight guys pretend to be gay. And when they catch hold of another gay person, what do? They bash them up and take all their money. And then Ash says, has it happened to you? Sure, twice. Hasn't it happened to you? Ash shakes his head. I can't believe it. You are probably the only one. Maybe you just know how to stay away from the wrong ones. Some people can tell a hetero guy a mile away. I think it's the way that they walk. Oh, and what about you? Can't you tell? Sometimes, but I'm never too sure. What do you feel about me? Now, Ash is directly asking him about himself. When you sat beside me on the park bench, I was pretty sure, but after a while, I wasn't too sure. So, Raghu has already uh, met Ash before in the park, and when Ash sat next to him in the park, in the beginning he was pretty sure about Ash being gay, but later on he wasn't too sure. Why? Raghu, you didn't put your hand on my crotch, and yet you invited me to your home. Well, I put my hand on your crotch. That's when I was sure. At least then I was. So not they, Ash didn't touch Raghu at all, but Raghu tried to find out whether Ash was gay or not by touching his body part. And now you feel that I may be one of those. It doesn't matter even if you are. I'm trained for combat. I bash up gay bashers. And Narabu says that it doesn't make any difference to me now because I'm trained for combat. And now I know how to bash up gay bashers. So Raghu is physically ready to have fight with Ash. You feel that would be necessary with me. You never know. Do I look like a gay basher to you? Not now. Not after you told me your fantasy. That was a lie. You mean it was a fantasy? There is a difference between a lie and a fantasy. What you just said was your fantasy. The fantasy was a lie. I don't fantasize about snakes turning into men and giving me a blowjob. So, Raghu has caught Ash now because Ash was lying now. And now Ash informs that the fantasy was a lie. And he tried to change the topic. and stated that I don't fantasize about snakes turning into men. So you made it up. Yes. But that's what a fantasy is. It's not real, it's made up. So it can't be a lie if you made it up. I lied about making it up. I don't fantasize. I don't fantasize. So Ash is trying to prove that he told a lie. No, you don't understand. If you could invent such a story, then it is part of your fantasy. Whether you really dreamed about it then or it came to you now is immaterial. It is a part of you. So Raghu now insists that whatever you fantasized, whether you lied, whether you dreamed about it, that's all immaterial. Now it's a part of you. No, it can't be. I didn't invent the story. It was told to me by someone in the park, and I passed it off as my own now. And Ash heard this fantasy by someone, and someone in the park informed or narrated this fantasy to him, and now he passes it on to others. Why? What was the necessity? To impress me? I'm impressed already. And that's the suggestive gesture which is made by Raghu. Shall we close the windows now? The smell of the night queen is overpowering somehow. Raghu doesn't wait for an answer. He moves to the windows and shuts them, gently slipping the bolt in. Raghu goes to Ash and slowly begins to caress his cheek. Ash stands frozen for a while. Raghu's hand moves slowly to the Ash breast. Ash suddenly grabs Raghu's neck and starts to push him up against a wall. You know what I did to the guy who told me that story? I bashed him up. I beat him till he was pulp. I could have slit his throat and thrown him in the gutter. That's what he deserved. That's what you deserve. And Raghu is not that matured enough to find out by now, to find out whether Ash is really a gay person or not. And now Ash has become a bit violent because he has decided to bash Raghu up against the wall. Raghu says, "Get your hands off me, you swine." Why? What will you do? Shout for help? Call the police? What can you do? Call your parents? Call your neighbors to help you? You don't deserve to be helped. You should be locked up in an institution. And Raghu is annoyed. Who are you to decide that? Fuck you. I know you would like to do that. I won't let you do that. Ash begins to punch him. Raghu lets out a cry of pain as he doubles up. And again there is interruption by old woman's voice. Raghu, hey Raghu, go on, tell her. Tell her mother and the man I picked up in the park to have sex with is beating me up. Again, interruption by old woman's voice. Raghu, who is that with you? Tell her who I am. Raghu, answer me. Ash beating him up. Answer her. Tell her who I am. Raghu suddenly grabbing his wrist. Ashwin Kothari. Ash is stunned for a moment at this disclosure. He backs away slowly. Who's that in the house, Raghu? Raghu goes to the door, yelling out, "Nobody, just my friend, go to sleep." Raghu looks at Ash. He moves slowly to him. Ash suddenly makes a dash for the door. He tries to unlock it, but Raghu manages to grab him by the by the waist, and drag him back into the room. Raghu beats him up. Ash resists but doesn't fight back. Now, Raghu has told the real name of Ash, and it's Ashwin Kothari. Uh, have you read the entire story, entire play by any chance? Anybody?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So,
Okay, so as you all have read, so okay, no problem because I already asked you to read. So Ash, whose real name is Ashwin Kothari, is completely stunned because there is some connection between Ashwin Kothari and Raghu. Remember when the old woman calls the name of Gayatri at that time also, Ash is surprised. Now let's try to find out uh, who this Ashwin Kothari is. Raghu says, "Shall I tell her? Shall I tell her who you are? Let me go, struggling. Let go of me. You don't deserve to be anywhere near this house." Now, Raghu is very uh, angry now. Now, Ash grasping for breath. "Don't tell them. Just don't tell them. Let them know." Ash wheezing loudly. "I can't breathe. My asthma. I can't breathe, please." Ash is on the floor now, trying hard to breathe. Raghu goes to the window and opens it. A strong wind blows in more dry leaves and flowers. Ash staggers to the window and lets out loud gasp as if he's fighting asphyxiation. "Gayatri, Gayatri, see what that Raghu is doing." So the old woman's voice interrupts once again. "Just let me go back to my room. Let's just pretend it all never happened. I won't say anything about you if you. I can't just let you go now. And tomorrow? Forget it. Forget we ever met. I won't bring it up again." "And Gayatri? What about her? Surely you wouldn't tell her, would you?" "Then you will have to tell her about yourself. She knows. She knows about me, and I'm going to tell her about you." "You mustn't. If you do, I will reject the proposal. I will say she is unsuitable, and then marry someone else. That's none of your concern. Let me go." "Get out." Ash walks slowly to the door. And once again, there is old woman's voice. "Gayatri, is there enough milk for the kid? Is he coming alone?" Now, if we try to guess the relation between Ashwin Kothari or Ash and Gayatri and Raghu, we realize that Ashwin Kothari is a suitable groom for Gayatri. And Raghu actually wanted to check Ashwin Kothari's real identity because he suspected that he was gay. So he has played a trick and he got success because he came to know that Ashwin Kothari or Ash was a gay person. So he's trying to save his sister Gayatri. It's because Ash, in his one of the dialogues, says that you wouldn't tell her, would you? Then you will have to tell her about yourself. So Ashwin Kothari has not disclosed his identity to Gayatri and the family members of Gayatri. So that also means that Ashwin has not identified himself as gay and informed his real identity to his parents as well. I hope you remember the different models which we talked about. And he is in the identity confusion state even now because he has not accepted and informed his real identity to parents as well as to the society. Now again, the old woman's voice brings us back to reality, and Ash turns around and looks at Raghu. Again, there is old woman's voice, Gayatri. Wait, I'm not going to let you get away without doing something first. What do you want now? If you hadn't found out who I am, I just want to stop people from doing it. Bullshit, if you hadn't, I wouldn't have done anything. I'm not gay. Bullshit, you would have sucked my cock tonight and come back tomorrow in the morning to meet my sister. Look, if you wish, I will come tomorrow and we would go ahead as planned. I could meet my parents and fix the date. I promise not to tell them about you if you promise. Ash stops himself, realizing what he just said. I promise not to tell your parents. Don't bring my parents into this. I promise not to tell your parents if. What do you want from me? I don't want anything from you, you scum. Goodbye. I want to give you something. I don't want anything from you. You're going to get a nice present. I don't want it. A present you will value for the rest of your life. All right, give it to me and let me go out of this hell. Come back in. Now remember, Ash calls that room as hell. So we can think of the mindset of gay people that they consider such kind of rooms as hell. What is it? What's the present? Woman's voice once again disrupts us. Gayatri, what time is he coming? And Ash continues, can't you give it to me tomorrow? No, this is the only chance you will have. What do I have to do? Raghu, hey Raghu. Again, old woman's voice. Raghu goes to the door and yells out, I'm busy with preparations for tomorrow. Don't disturb me. Gayatri, say what she wants. Raghu shuts the door and walks slowly towards Ash. A strong wind blows in some flowers again. Come and stand by the window. No, I won't. Ashwin, Ashwin Kothari. Raghu turns off the light. The room is now lit only by the bed lamp, and the night queen is seen in silhouette caused by the street light. It looks almost surreal. Ash walks slowly to the window. The wind continues to blow through the night queen. Smell that. How can I not? Gently. Yes, it is perfect. The perfect night. It is very quiet all of a sudden. So it is. It is time to go to sleep. Hmm. It is time, you said so yourself. Did I? At your grandmother's, you said, oh, that wasn't me. I told you it was someone else. It is your fantasy. I know about your grandmother and your village. Gayatri tells me everything. And do you tell her everything? No, only what she ought to know, and if I feel it necessary, and if circumstances force me to it, which I'm sure they won't, will they? Do what you want. Good, that's settled. Now, what was it you said? Or was it your grandmother about snakes? She said, we mustn't grow night queen near our house. Its fragrance attracts snakes. And you believed her? Yes. And yet you planted one. No, I didn't. I imagined I did. Oh, that's even better. Well, you're lucky. This one is real. Touching the plant through window. Yes, there is no doubt about it. So what do you want now? I don't understand. What do you do every night? Not now, but how old were you then? You mean the first dream? Yes, the first time. Oh, maybe 13, 14. No, I was 14. How are you so sure? Because that is the day I saw. No, I won't tell you. So you are 14, and this is the day you have seen something you won't tell me. Yes, it is night now. Good, go on. It is time to go to sleep. Be my guest, go on. Ash looks at him. He walks to the bed and lies down on it. The light from the bed lamp puts the focus on his face. Raghu begins to pluck some of the blooms. The wind blows again. Raghu goes to Ash, placing the flowers on Ash's abdomen one by one. The fragrance is intoxicating. It puts you to sleep. Hmm. And closing his eyes, I don't know now. And you dream. Yes, that I do. Tell me your dream. I I can't. You talked about it earlier. That was different. Why? You didn't know me then. I don't know you. I don't know who you are. So tell me. So Ash with some difficulty. I dreamed that I was sleeping under the shrub. The night is warm, although it has rained. The shrub is, of course, in full bloom. I look up and I can see the bunches of tiny white flowers, hundreds of them, and I see the snake amidst the flowers, drinking in the fragrance like I do. I smile at the snake. He comes down and moves up my legs. He curls up on my abdomen. I'm aroused, like I was aroused that morning when I saw my brother lying on his bed, stroking himself. I watched. I watch. So, if you look at this entire description, Ash received the first experience from his own brother. and when he was 14 years of age. And he saw his brother stroking himself, and he watched at that time. And the next part is I watch, so he watches even today. So that is about his elder brother. The snake turns into a human being, a man, a beautiful man, my brother. My brother makes love to me, and I cry. I'm filled with pleasure that I cannot contain. I burst with joy. A fountain erupts. Tears and cement flow. My brother vanishes. The snakes, the snake moves away. The shrub grows. The flowers fade away, leaving nothing. So the brother enjoys sexual intercourse with Ash, and once he is done with, he leaves, he vanishes, and he is lying over there. Ash opens his eyes and looks up at Raghu. Raghu moves closer to Ash. So you see who you are, don't you? Ash turning away from him. That is not all. There are more dreams, nightmares, living ones, real, not fantasy. Don't you want to hear them too? No, all I wanted you to do was admit you are gay. You may go now. Don't. You hate me, don't you? Go on, say it. I pity you. Who are you to feel superior? You think you have it easy just because you have this. Gesturing to the room and bed. This arrangement, this setup, just because you are smart enough and strong enough to defend yourself. You have a sister who understands you. You have a secure job and all that. It doesn't make you and stopping. Yes, it does make you superior somehow. You can tell the world to fuck off. So now Ash says that Raghu is superior. It's because he has a room of his own, number one. He has a secure job and a position in society, and that's why he can ask Ash to go away. Raghu sincerely says, I'm sorry. He bet me up. You don't have to talk about it, I understand. My brother bet me up. I slept with him the next day. I wanted it. For real. I should have been happy just dreaming about it. He hit me hard. The next evening, he took me out to the park. He showed me those guys looking around, waiting for a sexual partner, a stranger. He told me how unhappy and miserable they were. They looked unhappy and miserable to me and ugly. And I didn't want to be a part of that. I didn't want to be so ugly and repulsive. In my brother's eyes, they were worse than lepers. And I was my brother's favorite. In his eyes, I didn't want to be so ugly. Walking alone at night in a park, eyeing strange men, waiting at corners for someone to stop and stare, following a man into the bushes, unloading my burden as quickly as possible, pulling up my pants and walking away before I could feel the shame, going home as if nothing had happened, till the next evening, tearful. I saw you asked me to see myself. I saw myself in my brother's eyes, and I wanted to die. I promised my brother I would change. I told him to help me. I wanted him to help me get out of the hell. Looking at him, I hate myself. You shouldn't have asked your brother for help. I should have asked you. Where were you when I needed you? I was right there, but you didn't look for me. You looked for your brother. It is too late now. Bullshit. I will marry Gayatri. Why? I don't want to be ugly anymore. Raghu goes up to him and slaps him. So you know now the entire relation between Raghu and Ash uh, is beaten out, and Ash actually wants to come out of this entire scene, and he considers that he is in hell, and he actually wanted his brother to come out of it, to come out of his fantasies. But what did his brother do? His brother took him to the park and asked him to look for a sexual partner over there. And they all were strangers. They all were strangers. And they all looked unhappy and miserable. And he wanted to come out of his own misery. And then Raghu says that you didn't look at me. I was there to help you out. And you were looking at your brother for help. And now Ash says that it's too late now. And Raghu says, bullshit. And he suddenly changes the subject and says that I will marry Gayatri. And he says, why? I don't want to be ugly anymore. Raghu goes up to him and slaps him. And Raghu is very annoyed now and he slaps him. Look at me. I don't want to. You are ugly too. Raghu now shouting, look at me. I'm your brother. I'm the one you dreamt of. And you look ugly in my eyes. Oh, yes, you are ugly and you will be uglier, pretending to love her. Ash, I do. Raghu ignoring him, pretending that she turns you on, that you are in love with her, that everything will be all right after marriage. Such pretense, and when you sleep with her, you will be groaning extra loud with pleasure, shutting your eyes, thinking of your snake, snake god, or whatever, and penetrating her with those images in your mind, pretending, pretending all the fucking way. That's really shitty ugly. And in case you can't make those wonderful fountains erupt, she will look at you, questioning you, and you will be ugly enough to lead her to believe that she isn't good enough, that she doesn't satisfy you. You will watch her being filled with self doubt, and you will give your ugly sympathy to her. You will say to her, it's all right, you still love her, and she will be grateful to you. That's ugly. See that, see all that, and tell me if that isn't ugly. And you know, now Raghu is thinking about his sister and thinking that if they both get married, after marriage, Ash won't be able to satisfy Gayatri uh, sexually, and he would show sympathy to Gayatri, stating that it's all right, and she would be in self doubt, and she will consider Ash as a grateful husband. No, that won't happen. I know it won't. Raghu drowning him. That is not ugly. That is simply repulsive, hideous to think it won't happen. You stink. Ash running to the door. I don't believe you. I refuse to believe you. Raghu stopping him from opening the door. Why didn't you say that to your brother? You should have refused to believe him. How could I? He is my brother. Raghu, you don't exist for your brother. You are ugly to him. He doesn't want an ugly brother. No, no, not letting him off. But he's ugly too. Why don't you think of him as ugly? In your eyes, he should be ugly. Ash holds with crying, but I love him. Shaking him, but you never asked him to change. Why didn't you beat him when you saw him masturbating? Why didn't you beat him up when you saw him with his girlfriend? Why didn't you tell him that unless he slept with a man, he is as ugly as a leper? Why didn't he go down on his knees and plead with you to help him? Why? I need some air. Why isn't there any air in this room? Ash goes to the window and starts to pull out the shrub. Get rid of this plant. The smell is stifling me. Ash starts tearing down the shrub. Raghu watches him. Get rid of this. I will be able to breathe again. Help me. Why won't anyone help me? Ash grows weaker as he pulls out more flowers and branches. Finally, he is just hitting at the plant blindly. So, this all is his frustration because his real identity is disclosed now, and he is completely frustrated because he never thought that his real identity would be disclosed to the bride's family. But he's caught now, and his real identity is known to Gayatri's brother, that is Raghu. He gives up after a while, totally exhausted. Ash falls to his knees, spent. God, why won't you help me? God, God won't. Now he's thinking of God, and we have seen that in Indian scenario or in other countries as well, that if something goes wrong with you, we always blame God. If something goes in your favor, very few people thank God. But if everything goes wrong, or if something goes wrong with you, the first thing which you would blame would be the God. As Raghu says, God won't help you. Ash looks up at him. But you will. I don't know. I'm just as scared as you are. I too am looking for help from you. Help me. They move towards one another. They embrace, holding on to each other tightly. Help me, Raghu. Help me, Ashwin. They begin to kiss. Raghu, hey Raghu, what are you doing? Raghu begins to laugh. His laughter grows. Ash joins him in the laughter. Raghu, shouting, I'm playing, mother. At last, I'm playing. They move clumsily to the bed. Still laughing, they grow silent for a while, looking at each other. We should give each other the chance to blow, at least at night. They sit cross-legged on the bed, facing one another, just looking at each other, too excited now to do anything. Slow fade out. Fade out last on the night when, and the play ends. So if we observe or if we go through this play minutely, we realize the mindset of the gay community members, and not only the members of gay community, but even the mindset of common people. It's because they are not accepted in the society. And if you try to analyze Ash, his family members, or rather his parents, want to get him married. We don't know because nothing is made clear by the playwright whether Ashwin's parents know his real identity. But Raghu is smart enough because when he saw Ashwin, uh, when he visited Gayatri's, when he visited to see Gayatri, so he could sense that Ashwin was gay. It's because Raghu himself was a gay person and he was able to identify him as a gay member. And that's why he wanted to trap him. And he actually could get physically intimate with Ashwin. It's because Ashwin agreed to marry Gayatri. And we don't know, the play is very open ended. We don't know what will happen afterwards. The next day, when Ashwin would come to see Gayatri to finalize their marriage, will he accept Gayatri as his wife? We don't know. It's The writer has kept it open-ended. We are not aware what will happen the next day, and we also don't know the background as well. What had happened before? That is when Ashwin came and met Gayatri for the first time. We don't know about that as well. So this is the entire play, Night Queen, which is very symbolic. Now, Night Queen, this particular plant blooms only at night, and the fantasies which Ashwin had are very much relevant to Night Queen because this particular plant attracts snakes. I'm sure that you all are aware of it, and the snake as an image is a representation of sex, and the playwright has very aptly used Night Queen as the title of this particular play, and he had very nicely discussed the relation between Raghu and Ash. And there are only two characters in the entire play. Gayatri and the old woman never appears on the stage. So it's a play of only two protagonists. Both of them are equally important. And finally, they both accept their own identity and get physically intimate. I hope you have understood the play completely. Now we have
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, thank you. We have some time with us, 2 or 3 minutes. Would you like to ask some questions which are related to the play? Okay, as there are no questions, let me stop the recording.